Good morning, fifth grade. We're going to continue reading in Esperanza Rising, Chapter 9, Plums. Before we get started, I want you to think about what challenges has Esperanza faced so far in the novel, and how has she responded to those challenges. So think about her father dying, think about the fire, think about immigrating to the United States, think about adjusting to life in a migrant camp and being poor. And think about how she's responded to one of those challenges. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the focus question. How does Esperanza respond to challenge? And what do her feelings, actions, sayings, and thoughts reveal about her as a person? So we're going to continue to look at how Esperanza is changing throughout the text based on how she responds to challenge. Our vocabulary words for today are peculiar. That means strange or odd, and that's this picture right here, someone reading underwater. That's really strange. Second one is sympathetic, feeling or showing, expressing sympathy. And we have these emojis, and number 6 is someone who's expressing sympathy. They look like they're feeling sorry for someone, so please circle number 6. And then spasm, that's an involuntary muscle movement, so this person who's running is having a spasm in his side. All right, we're going to continue reading at the beginning of Chapter 9, and we're using our CSPS strategy, looking for the character, setting, problem, and solution. As they walked to the bus stop, Isabel recited a list of concerns to Esperanza, sounding exactly as Josefina and Mama had sounded earlier that morning. Put Pepe down for a nap first, and when he falls asleep, put Lupe down. Otherwise, they will play and never go to sleep, and Lupe will not eat bananas. I know, said Esperanza, repositioning Pepe on her hip. Isabel handed her Lupe and climbed the steps of the yellow bus. She found a seat and waved from the window. Esperanza wondered who was more worried, she or Isabel. Esperanza struggled to carry both babies back to the cabin. Thank goodness Isabel had already helped her feed and dress them. She settled them on a blanket on the floor with some tin cups and wood blocks, then put the beans into a big pot on the stove. Hortensia had prepared them earlier with a big onion and a few cloves of garlic, and instructed Esperanza to stir them occasionally and let them cook on low heat, adding more water throughout the day. She stirred the beans and watched Lupe and Pepe play. I wish Abuelita could see me, she thought. She would be proud. All right, so we know that Esperanza is by herself babysitting Lupe and Pepe for the first time while Isabel goes to school. Press pause to write down your answer for character in box 1. And you need a quote. You could use this quote about how she struggled to carry both babies back to the cabin. Or the one where it said she stirred the beans and watched Lupe and Pepe play. Those are both good quotes. And so now we're looking for the setting. We know that she is in the cabin at the camp with Lupe and Pepe. Esperanza is at the cabin in the camp with Lupe and Pepe. And you can use either one of the quotes already highlighted to support your answer. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep going. Later, Esperanza looked for something to feed the babies for lunch. A bowl of ripe plums sat on the table. They should be soft enough to eat, she thought. She took several, removed the pit, and mashed them with a fork. Both babies loved them, reaching for more after each spoonful. Esperanza mashed another 3 plums, and they gobbled each bite. She let them have their full until they started fussing and reaching for bottles of milk. Enough for lunch, said Esperanza, cleaning their faces and gratefully thinking that it would soon be nap time. She slowly changed their wet diapers, remembering all of Josefina and Isabel's instructions. She put Lupe down first with his bottle, and as directed, and then when he fell asleep, she put Lupe next to him. Esperanza lay down too, wondering why she was so tired, and she dozed. She woke to Lupe's whimpering and an atrocious smell. Okay, this is a clue about the problem. Lupe's crying, and there's a terrible smell. Brown liquid leaked from his diaper. Esperanza picked her up and carried her out of the room so she wouldn't wake Pepe. She changed her into a dry diaper and rolled the soiled one into a ball and put it by the door until she could take it to the toilets. When she put Lupe back down, Pepe was sitting up in bed in the same condition. She repeated the diaper changing with both babies clean. She left them in the bed and dashed to the toilets to rinse the diapers. Then she ran back to the cabin. A different smell greeted her. The beans! She had forgotten to add more water. Then, when she checked the pot, they appeared to be scorched only on the bottom, so she poured in water and stirred them. The babies cried and never went back to sleep. Both dirtied their diapers again. The wadded pile by the door grew. They must be ill, worried Esperanza. Do they have the flu, or was it something they ate? No one else had been sick recently. What had they eaten today? Only their milk and plums. The plums, she groaned. They must have been too hard on their stomachs. All right, we'll stop right there. What problems is Esperanza experiencing? Well, she fed the babies plums, and that gave them upset stomachs. And she also burned the beans. Press pause to write down your answer, and then choose a quote from one of the highlighted sections on this page. We're going to keep reading to see how she solves her problem. What did Hortensia give her when she was a child and was sick? She tried to remember. Rice water. But how did she make it? Esperanza put a pot on the stove and added a cup of rice. She wasn't sure how much water to add, but she remembered that rice didn't come out soft. Hortensia always said it needed more water. She added plenty and boiled the rice. Then she poured off the water and let it cool. She sat on the floor with the babies and fed them teaspoons of rice water all afternoon, counting the minutes until Isabel walked through the door. All right, this is how Esperanza solves her problem. She makes the babies rice water to soothe their stomachs, and you can use this quote. And then we're going to keep reading to finish out this section. What happened, said Isabel when she arrived and saw the pile of diapers by the door. They were sick from the plums, said Esperanza, nodding toward the plate still on the table where she'd mashed them. Oh, Esperanza, they are too young for raw plums. Everyone knows that plums must be cooked for babies, said Isabel. Well, I'm not everyone, yelled Esperanza. She dropped her head and put her hands over her face. Pepe crawled into her lap, making happy, gurgling noises. She looked at Isabel, already sorry for screaming at her. I didn't mean to yell. It was a long day. I gave them some rice water, and they seem to be fine now. Sounding surprised, Isabel said, that was exactly the right thing to do. Esperanza nodded and let out a long sigh of relief. That night, no one mentioned the number of rinsed and wrung diapers in the washtub outside the door, or the beans that were obviously burnt, or the pan of rice in the sink. And no one questioned Esperanza when she said that she was exhausted and wanted to go to bed early. All right, and now you have enough for your paragraph. How does Esperanza respond to challenge, and what do her feelings, actions, sayings, and thoughts reveal about her as a person?